From the mailbag, I received this email this past week, and it says, "Dear Paul, here's my story. I've showed a buyer over 30 houses, and I've written 5 unsuccessful offers. All were beaten out by better offers. My buyer is qualified up to $150,000 with FHA financing. It's so hard to find anything for them. After all of this work, my buyer stopped by a random open house this past weekend without me. The open agent, who was also the listing agent, convinced my buyers to write an offer with her. I think I deserve at least a referral fee, but the listing agent refuses to pay. What can I do? Sincerely, Jacob." And that's a great question, and I'll give you 4 possible answers in this video. Hey everyone, my name is Paul Vojchehoske. I'm the director of Randall School of Real Estate. Before we get started on today's video, do me a huge favor. Give this video a thumbs up, hit that little red subscribe button, click that little notification bell, and share this video with others. While I can't tell you how many times in my real estate career I've seen this happen, and honestly, I have been a victim of this situation as well, but the question is, does Jacob have any kind of recourse here? And the answer is actually yes, and no, and maybe. If this has ever happened to you, do me a favor. Please write just the word yes down in the comment section. I would be curious to know how many people have been faced with this situation. Jacob, first of all, understand this. The buyer can choose to work with whoever they want, regardless of how many times you've shown them houses or how many offers you've written on their behalf. But on its face, there are really no procuring causes here that I see. Also understand this. It sounds like your buyers really need a home. They want a home, and certainly they've had their share of disappointments. And sometimes that causes desperation. And buyers have a tendency that when faced with a glimmer of hope that they might actually get a house, they will forego any loyalty that they have to their agent just so they can get that house. And listen, that's not a reflection on what kind of agent you are. You obviously sound like you're a great agent, but that is today's reality in the tight marketplace. So I want to break this down into 2 parts for you, Jacob. First of all, are you entitled to any financial compensation? And second, are there any disciplinary options you can take against that open agent? So answer number 1, let's look at the compensation aspect first. Does Jacob have any recourse? Jacob, if you had your buyer sign what's called an exclusive buyer agency agreement, then yes, the fact is you're entitled to compensation. You're entitled to the amount of money that was agreed to in that buyer's exclusive agency agreement. Now, I want to clarify something here. An exclusive buyer agency agreement is not the agency disclosure that the licensees have their client sign that outlines the agent's duties and responsibilities under license law. This is a separate contract, not unlike the listing contract between the broker and the buyer, and the purpose of it is to protect the agent and the broker from this exact very thing that happened to Jacob. Now, if you have no such contract, there is no claim of any compensation either from the buyer or from the open agent. Also keep this in mind, since the buyer's exclusive agreement is technically between the buyer and the broker. Only the broker can bring legal action against that buyer. So if there's an agreement in place, you'll need to have a discussion with your broker before you take any legal action, because it will have to be your broker that takes that legal action. Answer number 2, what about filing a complaint against the open agent with the real estate commission? Now, from a license law perspective, Jacob may actually have an actionable complaint with the real estate commission against that open agent. Now, I say may have. I actually spoke to Greg Lemon, who's the director of the Nebraska Real Estate Commission, and unlike a listing contract, he indicated there are no specific prohibitions in the statute or in the commission precedent about poaching other agents' clients that do have an exclusive buyer agency agreement in place. But depending on the fact pattern, there are certainly other violations that could have occurred with that meeting between Jacob's buyer and that open agent. So let me give you an example here. In Jacob's case, his buyers went to an open house, and those buyers spoke with that open agent. If that open agent made any kind of statement, that open agent says something to the effect that buyer's exclusive agency agreements aren't enforceable, or no worries, courts don't like these type of agreements, or that open agent says something to the effect of don't worry about exclusive buyer agency agreements, they aren't worth the paper they're written on, something like that, then there would certainly be a potential violation. So it really depends on the facts in each individual case and what was said between Jacob's buyer and that open agent. Now also remember here, kind of important, there are no current commission precedents. That doesn't mean a future commission won't make one if they have the right case to look at. Something to think about. Answer number 3. In Jacob's case, if the open agent is a member of the Realtors Association, Jacob might have recourse through the ethics process. So let me explain a couple of things here, a couple of possible scenarios. The Realtor Code of Ethics Standard of Practice 15.2 says, Realtors have the obligation to refrain from making false or misleading statements about other real estate professionals, their businesses, and their business practices. Includes the duty to not knowingly or recklessly publish, repeat, retransmit, or republish false or misleading statements made by others. This duty applies whether false or misleading statements are repeated in person, in writing, or by technological means, or by any other means. In Jacob's example, if the open agent made a false or misleading statement about Jacob or Jacob's company, such as, I'll give you an example, maybe the open agent said, you'd be better off allowing me to write up the offer because the agent, Jacob, you've been working with has been sued several times by previous clients. And that's a false statement. There would be grounds to file an ethics complaint under Standards of Practice 15.2. Answer number 4. Standard of Practice 16.9 says realtors prior to entering into a representation agreement have an affirmative obligation to make reasonable efforts to determine whether the prospect is subject to a current valid exclusive agreement to provide the same type of real estate service. Now, Standard of Practice 16.13 goes on to say, before providing substantive services such as writing a purchase offer or presenting a CMA to prospects, realtors shall ask prospects whether they are party to any exclusive representation agreement. Realtors shall not knowingly provide substantive services concerning a prospective transaction to prospects who are parties to exclusive representation agreements, except, there's a couple of exceptions here, with the consent of the prospect's exclusive representatives or at the direction of prospects. What does all this mean? Let me break it down for you. Jacob's buyers go into the open house. The open agent has a duty to, number 1, ask if they're working with an agent, and if they are, is there a buyer's exclusive agency agreement in place? If there's a buyer exclusive agency agreement in place, then the open agent at that point would either have to call Jacob and get permission to work with those buyers with Jacob's permission, or number 2, the prospects would have had to directly indicate to the open agent that they want her to write that offer. Now, understand this. If that is the case and the prospect or Jacob's buyers instruct the open agent to write the offer, the open agent has a duty under license law, I believe, to inform Jacob's buyers that, hey, I will write the offer, but you do have this agreement out there, and those agreements do include monetary concessions and compensation, so you may still have to pay those that amount that's listed in that buyer's exclusive agency agreement. So you need to speak with your attorney because there's some financial consequences before we move forward. Failure of that open agent to give that advice, that could constitute a license law violation. Now, if the buyers still say, okay, great, we are aware of that and we want to move forward, then the open agent would be okay to move forward and write up that offer. It still doesn't alleviate the compensation under that contract that those buyers may owe Jacob and Jacob's company. It just removes the open agent from any liability under the Code of Ethics. And now answer number 5. I lied. I know I said 4, but there's actually 5. And that is, it's happened to the best of us. I know it sucks, but that's the reality of it. One option is just to move on and live to fight another day. Last thing, my recommendation for all you agents out there working especially in those tight markets where there's low inventory and the buyers fall into that, in particularly that first time home buyer price range, please get an exclusive buyer agency agreement signed before committing to work with them. Be open and honest with your buyers about what these agreements are and why you want them to sign it. It's really the only way to protect your interest against this very situation that we've been discussing in this video. All right, guys, that's all I have for today's video. If you have any questions or comments about today's topic, please leave me a comment down below. If you have a particular situation you'd like me to opine on, or you have a suggestion about a video topic, please drop me an email. My email address is right down here. If you'd like more information on how to get your license or you need continuing education, please reach out to us and give us a call. That's all I got for today's video. Until next time, I hope to see everyone in class.